Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, from the sunny Caribbean, you are watching What You Need.
So I still have a lot of questions concerning the WBA and their decision to have Adrien Broner face Alec Verdef for the super lightweight WBA title, the vacant super lightweight WBA title that Danny Garcia vacated, and have Jose Benavidez out of that equation. But there are some explanations to this, I realize, and I'll go into that in a minute. First of all, let's just get to the two guys. First of all, it was announced on the WBA website. As you can see, I'm on the WBA website. It was announced by them on the 26th of this month, August, that they ordered Benavidez to face Di Rocco. And if you read the contents here, I'm just going to go through just the basic gist of it. Basically, the WBA commissioners ordered the mandatory negotiation between the interim WBA super lightweight champion Jose Benavidez Jr., who was undefeated, and the number 4 ranked Di Rocco from Italy. This is his mandatory defense of his interim title. Okay? That was on the 26th. On the 28th, they went out to say that Adrien Broner will fight Khabib the Hawk Alec Verdef from Russia for the vacant WBA super lightweight title. So that's a little surprising. If Benavidez is doing a mandatory defense of his interim title, of course he can't fight for the title. But here's my question. Why is Benavidez doing a mandatory interim defense? Why not just blow up the interim defense to a full-blown defense? Upgrade him to a regular champion. And what we have to do is we actually have to go to the actual WBA laws. There are rules and regulations to find out more about that. So we'll go take a look at that in a minute, because I do remember that Keith Thurman, he had a number of interim defenses and then he was upgraded to regular champion. Alec Verdef is a good contender, a good guy to fight with the other contender, Adrien Broner. Just in case people think this is a bad matchup, this is a perfectly good matchup. Alec Verdef, he's a Russian fighter, southpaw, very tough. In fact, he was a world champion. He fought for the vacant WBA super lightweight champion against Joan Guzman. And anybody who knows who Joan Guzman is knows that he was a great fighter. Okay? He won by technical decision. They had to stop it because of an accidental foul, and it went to the scorecards. Okay? And because they went to the scorecards, Alec Verdef, he won that fight. Okay? But Guzman's a very good fighter, and you can see it was a very close fight. And then he faced Jesse Vargas in a very controversial decision loss to him, in which many people believed he won. So here he is now facing Adrien Broner. Adrien Broner is coming off a loss to Sean Porter, but this is at welterweight. In the super lightweight division, here are the rankings. Right now, Danny Garcia has vacated his title. You have Jose Benavidez, who is number 1. He's the interim champ. You have Adrien Broner. You have then Amir Imam, Di Rocco. That's the guy that Jose Benavidez will be facing. Alec Verdef. Okay, and Mercier Herrera. Now we know Adrien Broner is going to be facing Alec Verdef, and Jose Benavidez, he's facing Di Rocco. Now what you guys don't know is that Amir Imam, I might have talked about this in the video before, he's actually probably lining up to face the WBC world champion between Lucas Matisse and Victor Postol. So he's out of the equation here. Jose Benavidez, he won the interim title from Mercier Herrera, and then he faced Jorge Paez Jr. Now the thing is, was this a voluntary or mandatory? That I don't know. But he knocked him out in the 12th round. So maybe after winning his title here in 2014, he didn't actually have a mandatory here, because Jorge Paez Jr. is not ranked in the top 10. So maybe this was a voluntary. Okay, he took his voluntary, and then now he has to have a mandatory defense, which explains why he's fighting Di Rocco. That would explain why he's not fighting for the championship, because he hasn't had a mandatory defense. Still, nonetheless, let's go into their laws. So here's the rules of the World Boxing Association, the WBA. Let's go have a look at them, okay? All right, so we move all the way down to point number 22 under the championship title. This is talking right here about the interim titles, that if a champion for some reason can't defend his title, then the interim champion is supposed to do that, so he can replace the champion once the champion is in recess. Now, filling the vacant title. In the event that a world championship is declared vacant, unless the committee elevates an interim champion to champion at its discretion. That happened with Keith Thurman. They took the discretion to upgrade Keith Thurman to a regular champion, but he had a number of mandatory defenses. Generally, the two highest rated available boxers shall be designated by the committee to fight for the title and shall have no more than 30 days to submit a bout agreement. You will see that Benavidez is the number one and Adrien Broner is the number two. So I'm saying, why are these two guys fighting one another? Now, if Jose Benavidez hasn't defended his title with a mandatory challenger and he had a voluntary, then of course he can't defend his title right now against Adrien Broner. So that would explain that pretty much. But if he's had a mandatory defense, then it would mean that he should be in the position to either be upgraded to regular champion or face Adrien Broner. So in the gist, the interim champion, Jose Benavidez, though he's interim champion at the present moment, maybe because he hasn't had a mandatory defense in a certain period of time, the WBA has mandated him, as it says here, to face Michel De Rocco. By the way, Michel De Rocco is also in line via the IBF to face the IBF world champion at this point in time. And the IBF world champion at this point in time is Cesar Cuenca. Okay? Cesar Cuenca from Argentina is currently the IBF super lightweight champion. It's up to Michel De Rocco to face Jose Benavidez for that title, or he may move on to face Cesar Cuenca. Keith Thurman, Mr. One Time. Yes, the difference between him and Jose Benavidez is this. If you look, Keith Thurman has faced Diego Gabriel Chavez, the interim champion, and Leonard Bundu. Is mandatory, according to the WBA at the time. So because he faced his mandatory, he was upgraded to a regular champion after that by their committee, and he's defended it twice against Luis Collazo and Robert Guerrero. So the question is Jorge Paez Jr. a mandatory for Benavidez in May of 2015. So what I do, I just go to April 2015. I look at the rankings during that time. And if you look at the rankings, April 2015, which is just a month before they fought in the super lightweight division, you see that Jorge Paez Jr., he was ranked number 15th in that division. The WBA generally has criteria for their mandatory contenders. So generally a mandatory contender, as it says right here, for each weight division may be selected by the championship committee or through an eliminatory bout. The selection may be subject to conditions. Generally, the highest rated boxer in the division or a regional champion rated in the top 5 shall qualify to be named the official contender by the championship committee, unless he is or is likely to be unavailable to fight for the title in the period required. So as you can see in the case of Keith Thurman, that top 5 contender was Leonard Bundu, who was at the time a top 4 welterweight in the division. So that is why Michel De Rocco is actually there to face Jose Benavidez, because Michel De Rocco is one of the top 4 junior welterweights in the division at this time. As you may have realized, Jorge Paez was not. You guys have a great